another big weight that can sink everything else. And people ask me all the time, why? Why do I firmly believe that? If that continues, we'll still have a crash. No buyer will be able to bail out these conditions and this market nowadays. We'll get into that, and we'll get into for sale homes that nobody can afford at this point. So let's go back a few years and let's talk about what has actually happened and why I mentioned that no buyers will be able to bail out these particular conditions. I'm being a little bit sarcastic at this point because bailing out means, if you owe something and then somebody else comes and they bail you out, they give you money or they get you out of a particular situation. So why are some buyers that bought a few years ago selling today? And I see it all the time. I see it on MLS, and there are obviously different reasons. Families are splitting, job environment, job changes, change of location, but that is all minor. Think about it for a second. That is all minor. But what is actually happening currently that I see? As an example, you would see that a buyer back in the day at the peak of the market would purchase a home for $1.5 million. This is obviously just an example. And in today's market, they're expecting 1.65, okay, as an example. Okay, so let's just talk about it for a second. So the increase, it's according to commissions and everything that they had to pay. So they walk out untouched. They don't want to be touched by that fire, or they don't want to be touched by the loss. They bought at the peak. They don't care. These sellers do not care. They just want to get out. They want to cash out. They want to get their money, and that's it. So the new buyers are expected to bail them out now. So why should they? I mean, think about it. Why should somebody bail you out? I mean, look, at the peak, let's talk about the peak for a second. We had the best conditions that any market, but let's say this real estate market can have, 100,000%. So we had low interest rates. We had no listings. I remember vividly driving from Niagara Falls all the way to Ajax, all the way to Nord, showing properties, and there would be a handful of properties. At one point, I remember, the three city, what they called Cambridge, Waterloo, and Waterdown, right? So those three cities, they at one point they had 50 listings, right? So same thing with Bradford, same thing with even with bigger cities like Mississauga. There would only be a handful of listings in a price point, and that price point was usually fake, right? Why? Because everybody was holding offers. What that meant is fear of missing out. It created additional pressure on that purchaser or buyer. Then the banks were lenient. The banks were like, look, don't worry about it. Just keep betting. Keep it on. Keep it going. Keep it betting because we got you back. Doesn't matter about the funds. We got it covered. Low interest rates, fear of missing out. Like these buyers went like bananas. Like I have never seen anything like that. I've looked at my clients and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like you're going like blindfoldedly into this and you're okay with everything? Right? Like let's just talk for a second here, right? Like let's talk about the appraisal. Let's say we get this house. What will happen? Okay? The banks will have to appraise. And let me tell you, in some of these transactions, I was very scared. I told them, I'm like, look, at this point, by my calculations, which are stupid anyways, like ridiculous, we're way, way above, okay? But I don't know how the banks will approve you at this point. Not you per se, but how will they approve this particular home? How will it appraise? And I was like, I was worried. I told them straight up, look, you're going in firm. That's a problem. You know that, right? They're like, don't worry about it. My bank is cool. And guess what? They were right. The banks were cool. And they called me. They said, look, man, you see, I told you, nothing to worry about. I got a great broker, blah, blah, whatever. The bank is backing me up. I've been banking with them for 20 years, whatever. I don't know. But they were right. Doesn't matter what we put on the table, it got approved. So, best conditions, best environment, best of the best. So now, when we are heading the other direction, now these new buyers are expected to absorb the bad decisions or some of the decisions somebody else made a few years ago. Well, no. Look, real estate market has cycles, and that cycle was a peak cycle, and I get it. I know you're watching, and some of you are saying, come on, man, real estate goes up and all of that stuff. Look, I know the graphs. I know how it works. I know the median. And if you're looking at a graph and the median graph, you see it goes like this. Yes, eventually, right? Eventually, it keeps going up due to inflation, due to this, due to that, due to all kinds of circumstances. But if you catch a wave on top and then it swings the other way around, guess what? You will lose money. And you will lose money when? When you sell. So what does that mean? Or when will you see the gains? When you sell, you see the gains. How else are you going to see the gains? Well, if you borrow against the equity of the home, then you'll see gains, right? It's illusional money, like it doesn't exist, but it's there. You can tap into it, you can take it, and it was happening in the peak, right? Boom, my property went up. Yes, won the lottery. So what are we gonna do? Yeah, you got equity, no problem. We'll give you more equity. We'll give you whatever you want, right? If you want to invest, because that's the right way to do it. Right? You take the equity, So by the time you're finished, you have all these properties that look great on the books, but you're broke. You are broke. And it's a matter of a few months, okay? To some 6 months, to some a year, to some folks even 2 years. So why do I say that before they belly up? Because they have more of options to dig into more debt. That's it, right? Because I have not met a person yet since the peak till today, which has been like two years, we can argue 2.5 years, whatever. I have not met one person that said, look, my mortgage or my expenses went from 3,000 to 9,000 and I can absorb it because I'm making that much more money. It's not happening, right? Yes, there are people out there, they're making a lot of money. A lot of businesses invested. I speak to these guys. Most of them didn't make it. It's generational wealth. Somebody else created the path. Now they're running all these corporations and companies. Fine. I'm not taking it away from you. You still have to manage something that your grandfather built 89 years ago and it continued. Good for you. Good for your family. Continue, right? This might be the best opportunity of your lifetime. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm talking for the middle class, just normal people, right? I have not seen these people being able to absorb these costs just like that from their paycheck. Not happening. So now the expectations from these sellers today is like, look, I just want out, right? I just want out. I want a new buyer to buy this property, to absorb my crazy gambling habit back in the day, and I want them to just absorb everything and just move on. And I just want out. I just want to downsize. I want my payments low. I want to pay off my car. Like everybody has an idea today. All of them. Have great ideas today. Look, put actions behind it. If like, and they ask me, people comment on my comments here. They call me, they send me emails, like they ask me, so what should I do? One is the right thing to sell. All right. So let's get into that for a second. Okay. So when is it the right time or the right maybe atmosphere for you to sell? It's very simple. If you are sinking like a brick, you will continue to sink. That brick will not magically become a fish. It's not gonna happen, okay? So if you're writing a lot of that monthly, you know the chances are slim. I'm not saying you cannot get a promotion and your financial situation might improve. I'm not saying you will not win the lottery in 2025. All I'm saying, if those chances are slim or next to none, take a calculator, a pencil, and a paper, calculate it. And if you see that you're sinking every single month, means equals to you cannot afford it. Simple as that. So by you dipping into more debt and sucking out these options, eventually you will have to be able to pay it back. It's like a Visa card, just bigger. Imagine it being a big Visa card. That's it. And by the way, even the student loans, uh, historically high, Visa, historically high, you name it. Like everything is maxed out to the ceiling. And now still the expectation is 2025, boom, everything will go away. The pain will go away. It will not go away. Trust me, in springtime, the surge of listings already spiking like crazy every day. New listings, new listings. I get it. It is normal. In fact, that's kind of let us call it a trend or a tradition that real estate market picks up in spring. It has been happening for decades. It's nothing new. But the question is, how much of that spike we will see? If we see a normal spike, hey, we might see a normal market. But where the gains going to happen? How are we going to see the gains? How is the new buyer going to absorb your bad decisions, your bad calculations, your fear of missing out? Now they have to pay and replace your spot. Like again, eventually it's going to collapse because the new buyer is just going to translate into 2026, and that new buyer today is going to become that buyer that was 2022 and the seller that is today. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying, if that continues, we'll still have a crash. It's not 2025, it's going to be 2026. What's the difference? It will be a crash, right? How much? I don't know. But we can still argue that from the peak, we're down 15%, 20%. Outside Toronto GTA, maybe 30%, right? I've sold homes in Niagara Falls, 1.1, 1.2, all day long. All day long. Hot cookies. Let's go. Right now, 850, 800, 899. Nobody wants them. They're sitting on the market 3 months, 6 months. I'm not bashing Niagara Falls. Look everywhere. Doesn't matter. Cambridge, Waterloo, even Windsor. I had somebody commented on the channel from Windsor. They're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It is horrible out here. Crickets. Nothing is happening, right? So you name it, right? Like, I don't even want to get into the condo market. That is another big weight that can sink everything else. And people ask me all the time, why? Why do I firmly believe that, right? Well, look, simple numbers. 40,000 pre-construction units 2025 and 35,000 pre-construction units in 2026 about to complete. So there you go. 75,000 units are going to enter the market, some online, some offline, but however you slice it, they're entering the market. So guess what? Most of these units were or are tied up to an existing real estate property. Well, how is that so? Well, most borrowed. Remember what we talked about, a few minutes ago? Hey, look, you have some equity, take it out, invest more, boom, become a millionaire fast, fast, fast. Okay, so that's what's happening. So most of these condos are tied up to an existing property already, and everybody's sinking. So it's not only a family issue, people are splitting, divorcing, changing jobs, or stuff like that, right? Due to other circumstances. It's directly linked to their financial situation. So it will give. We just don't know when it's gonna give, but most of the indicators are pointing in that direction. That these buyers, even if they're willing, if they say, look, I'm ready, I'm willing to absorb, but I cannot afford it. Simple as that, right? So let me tell you a short story about a vehicle. Okay, so you buy a new car with all the bells and whistles. Okay, all of them. Lane assist, they drive themselves, they brake for you, they have all these alerts. If you're falling asleep, they're reading your eyes, they make sure they beep, all these blind spot signals. Why? Why is that? Well, we start with the seatbelt first, but then all these other instruments are implemented to save your life, to save somebody else's life. And they're indicators, they're flashing, they're alerting you that something is wrong. So why didn't we have that in a banking system? You know what I'm saying? Like the money was just let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Print, recycle, repeat, give away, let's go, let's go, let's go. So I don't know, maybe some of these sensors are broke or broken, and I don't know, we'll see the outcome. I hope you got some value out of this. If you think that somebody else would appreciate this content, please share it, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.